So here's a thought for you. What if your life isn't entirely your own? We're about to dive into this really provocative idea from an author named Xu Feng. He suggests that, maybe everything, from our own bodies to the entire universe, is just running on a pre-written script, kind of like a giant computer program.
And this is the question that kicks the whole thing off. I mean, we all get that AI is a program, right? It's built on code. But what if we're just looking in a mirror? What if human life is basically the same thing, just a way more complicated biological program in action?
Okay, so here's his main argument, and it's a big one. He's saying that at their core, we and AI are pretty much the same. We're both programs. The only real difference he sees is that our human software has this one extra, tiny but super important feature added, a little bit of free will.
So how in the world does he build a case for an idea like that? Well, the first piece of evidence he points to is the mind-blowing precision of our own biological code. And it all starts right at the very beginning, at conception.
Just look at that number. Seriously, let that sink in. The entire ridiculously complex blueprint for a human being is all packed into a fertilized egg that's just 1/10 of a millimeter wide. It's a starting point you can barely even see.
And according to the author, everything that happens after that, everything that grows from that tiny little dot, it's not random. Nope. He says it's the careful, step-by-step execution of a program that was already written.
You see, from that one cell, the program just starts running. The heart knows exactly when to form and how to beat. The brain and nervous system wire themselves up. Every single organ pops up in this perfect, predictable order, almost like it's following a flawless instruction manual. So he asks a really simple question to make his point. If our development wasn't programmed, why don't we see all sorts of wild variations? Why don't humans ever grow wings? From his perspective, the answer is easy. The human program just doesn't have wings written in its code.
And it's the exact same logic here. I mean, wouldn't eyes on our backs be kind of useful? Maybe, but it doesn't happen. His point is that this isn't luck or chance, it's a program that is strictly following its code, with no exceptions.
And all of this leads him to his big reveal. DNA is the master program. It's the source code. Now, mainstream science often uses program as a metaphor for DNA, but for this author, it's not a metaphor at all. He sees it as a literal running program that makes sure a human egg becomes a human every single time. The output is already determined by the code.
But okay, the program doesn't just build our hardware, right? The author's second piece of evidence is that it also codes our behavior. Specifically, all those instincts we're just born with. So if our bodies are programmed, what about our actions?
I mean, think about it. A baby doesn't need to take a class to learn how to eat. Puberty doesn't wait for a committee to give it the green light. The author points to these super fundamental instinctual behaviors as proof that there's a pre-installed program just running in the background of all our lives.
Okay, and this is where the argument takes a turn into a really powerful and, maybe a bit controversial metaphor. This is how the author describes the absolute, total control that he believes this DNA program has over every one of us.
He actually personifies DNA. He calls it the president, in charge of our life, our aging, our death. So in his view, it's not just a list of instructions, it's the top executive making all the big decisions for our entire biological life.
And right here, the author makes this really direct, personal connection. He compares the total control of DNA to what he himself calls his own dictatorial leadership style. It's a pretty startling way to describe just how inescapable he thinks this biological programming is.
So how does he explain this dictatorial control, both DNA's and his own? Well, he argues it's not about wanting power. He describes it more like an unavoidable urge, a natural pressure that absolutely has to be released. He even uses this very vivid analogy of a full bladder that you just have to empty.
So after focusing so intensely on human life, the author then zooms the camera way out. He takes this exact same logic and applies it not just to us, but to, everything, the whole cosmos.
And that's his grand finale. The way planets orbit, the life cycles of stars, the patterns you see in nature. From his point of view, it's all just one enormous, universal program, executing its code on a cosmic scale. So you can see how it all clicks together for him in this one big picture. Human life? That's a program run by DNA. Artificial intelligence? A program run by us on silicon. And the entire universe? Well, that's just the biggest program of them all.
It's a single, predictable framework for literally everything that exists.
And that brings us right back to where we started. But now we kind of see the whole picture from his perspective. If he's right, if life really is mostly a program, then what does that actually mean for our sense of self, for our choices? And what about that little bit of free will he talked about at the beginning? It's definitely something to think about.